In the last video, we had covered all the main requirements under standardization. Under the project objective, AUTOSAR shall support the transferability of software. Next, let's look into abstraction requirements. The first one is that AUTOSAR shall provide an abstraction from hardware. The microcontroller abstraction layer, MCAL of AUTOSAR, which we had discussed in the previous video, shall provide an abstraction from the hardware characteristics. This MCAL shall be limited to the software modules directly interacting with the hardware. Other part of the basic software shall be independent from hardware. Use case here is to relocate the application software from one hardware to other, or to use the same application software in multiple hardwares. Coming to the next requirement, AUTOSAR shall support hierarchical application software design methods. This requirement implies that AUTOSAR shall provide means to structure application software in a hierarchical way, so that only links to outside softwares need to be treated, adapted, or changed in the next hierarchical level. The internal working of the software is abstracted from the next hierarchy, and each hierarchy can work on their development independently. Basic objective is to allow each actor in the development chain to focus on the required level and tasks. We have our next requirement stating AUTOSAR shall provide a layered software architecture. Basically, AUTOSAR shall provide a software architecture which distinguishes between application software, a runtime environment, and the basic software. Objective here is to have layering in turn an abstraction from the basic to concentrate more on the complex design in application software. We have now covered all the requirements under abstraction. Next, let's look into migration requirements. First one states that AUTOSAR shall provide migration strategies towards new releases. Basically, AUTOSAR shall provide migration instructions and strategies on how software components and ECUs of different releases have to be adapted to interoperate. Use case here is to integrate ECUs with latest AUTOSAR release in a network built from ECUs using former release. Coming to the next requirement, AUTOSAR shall support the deployment and reallocation of AUTOSAR application software. Here, AUTOSAR shall provide means by which the application software can be changed in the ECU during development phase or even after production. Over-the-air update along with safety and security aspects are what has to be considered in the AUTOSAR compliant software. Coming to the next one, AUTOSAR shall reflect the stages of software system development in a formal model description. Here, AUTOSAR shall reflect the stages of software development process and define templates on how information at these stages can be exchanged between different parties. To develop such blueprint, AUTOSAR considers existing standards like ISO 26262 and Automotive SPICE. During the development of a vehicle, software system at different process steps have information exchange between various partners. AUTOSAR shall refine the formats and state criteria for completeness of the exchange information to capture general requirements on the progress of development. We have now covered all the main requirements under migration for the objective. Next, let's look into the test requirements. First one is quite simple to understand. It states that AUTOSAR shall support the test of implementation. Software implemented based on AUTOSAR standard shall be tested during software development for software maturity and software safety standards. Next three requirements are on the definition of acceptance test. So what is acceptance test? Acceptance tests are the tests that gives confidence to OEM and supplier on software meeting the expected behavior. So for the first requirement, which states that acceptance tests shall test interoperability of PSW implementation of one AUTOSAR release in one vehicle network. The requirement states that the acceptance test shall ensure that the different BSW implementation on same release of AUTOSAR works well in a vehicle network. Coming to the next requirement, which states that acceptance tests shall test interoperability of BSW implementation in vehicle networks. These acceptance tests shall ensure that the BSW implementation from different suppliers work well in the vehicle network. Lastly, acceptance tests shall test interoperability of BSW implementation to application. This requirement implies that the acceptance test shall ensure that the BSW implementation from different suppliers works well with the application software. With this, we have covered all the categories, namely standardization, abstraction, migration, and test requirements for the objective, which is AUTOSAR shall support the transferability of software. In the next video, we'll touch upon other objectives in the main requirements. Thank you.